Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Baha Pips, and today it's Monday, June 3rd, 2024. It's approximately 11:47 a.m. Eastern China time, and today I'm going to be doing a weekly technical breakdown. It's the first week of June, and I expect some movement coming into this month, but we might have a little bit of chop since we're a little bit early. I'm on the eastern side of the world, so my time zone is a little bit ahead of New York Open, so there may be low volatility coming into this session, but I'm going to start recording. I'm also looking for day trades that may start off in Asian session, late Asian session. That's what we're currently in. And it might be able to flow into the London and possibly US session. So you'll also be able to see me possibly get in some trades during this video. And that's about it. So I want to pull up my platform and get started right away because I did see a possible trade in crude oil. And I'm also going to break down the market sentiment for the week. I'm going to present my tab. Just bear with me for a moment. And also just want to let y'all know, last week we had a weekly technical breakdown, and everything that I said from the video, you can verify and validate that through watching the last video, and you can see the current market conditions and you can see how it did play out. I was pretty much in cash for a lot of my swing trades last week, and that was because we were going into the end of the month of May and there was a lot of chop that was still going on. And I just did not want to take any trades swing wise. And yeah, that's what was going on. So right here, you can see my platform, and I'm going to just switch over because I have a potential sell set up. I'm currently not triggered into the sell yet. I just have this projection tool getting ready for a possible short sell-off if we do end up coming on down. I'll show you out right here. So I am still waiting to zoom in a little bit more. We had a little drop down here, looks like a potential false break. So I'm a little concerned about this trade, this sell-off right here. We do need a little bit further up a decline before I look for a possible short. That would be my trade of the day. And yeah, if we have that align, then I'm going to look for some sells on crude oil. That is the trade that's the pair that I've been eyeballing this session. But I'm going to get back to that in just a moment. I want to break down the larger term context and explain what's going on and why I have this type of projection on crude oil. So if we look at the daily chart, we can see that we've been bouncing around in between a range for the past several weeks. My last video, I did say that crude oil was in a consolidating range. There was nothing clean about this pair, and as y'all can see, it did follow through. There was nothing. It went to the range highs and it bounced off, and now we're revisiting the range lows, as you can see right here. And I've been in cash this entire time. Looking for day trades, though, it is very possible we do have a nice breakdown followed by a pullback and a trigger. It's been doing this little false trigger followed by the real trigger. It's been doing that for quite a while. We have another one right here. So I am projecting that may end up happening right now, which is what we see on the 5-minute. We had like a little false trigger, but the trend is still intact. And yeah, if we do break down the last 15-minute lows, then I'm going to look for a possible sell-off. As of right now, we are still hesitating to break, so I'm not interested in this just yet. We're going to revisit that in just a moment. I'm going to go on to S&P 500 just to show y'all the index of this. There we go. So Standard & Poor has been performing pretty poorly for the past week. I haven't really seen much. We do see a false breakout of yearly highs, followed by price struggling to take it on up. As far as a sell-off goes, it is currently in a predominantly bear market, but I'm not interested in selling yet because the pullback of the end of last week, you can see right here on the 31st of May, was kind of strong, and I'm not interested in selling when we have a lot of buying pressure. So there's a possibility of a breakout of this range. It's been going on since last month. We can see the middle of the month, we kind of got into the higher end of this range, and bulls have been struggling to break out. So I am looking for that breakout and a possible continuation north before I deploy capital into longs. As of right now, though, I'm gonna just be on the bench, no trading on the S&P 500 just yet. And that's the breakdown for that. Looking at gold. Last week we did leave off. I did say that gold was not bullish. I was not interested in buying, but we do see that the last buy attempt was the 17th of May. Price did break out higher. It was going to retest April highs, and we did reject. And price is currently now making its way on down. One of those false breakouts followed by a potential real drop happening right now on daily. So I do project gold to possibly drop further and retest May lows, which is around 1.22851. And I'm going to just mark this off with a little horizontal line just for y'all to visually see. So this is a real true sell-off. There's a possibility of price reaching 2288. No guarantees yet, but that's kind of what I'm reading. This is the last attempt. So if price does not break lower at right now today, then more than likely we're going to be moving sideways for a little bit longer. That's gold for you. I'm going to take a look at crude oil again because, like I said, I'm looking at the 5-minute time frame. So I just want to see that break. We're very close to it, but I need to see price fully break on downwards. Then I'm interested. This little false break right here is just giving me a little indication that maybe we may not be going down. And at this point, I do need to see this range a little taken out, if that makes sense. So right now I'm sitting on cash and gold and crude oil still. Pretty interesting because y'all get to see me actually look for some day trades in the middle of this video. I don't normally do that, but I am in the middle of my session right now. Natural gas, we have something a little conflicting. Buyers did attempt to break on higher and attempt to retest yearly highs. You can see that visually right here. And they failed. So we have a new swing low taken out, and price is just kind of hesitant. We don't know whether it now wants to go up or down. We're currently struggling right around those swing lows. And I don't like to take trades on the cusp of highs and lows. So natural gas, I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines right now. It could break on higher, preferably above the 29th of May highs. And we may see a reversal back into the higher end of that range that I have marked off. Or we could break on lower below last week's lows. And yeah, that may end up with a bearish continuation south. And that would be bad for natural gas buyers. But if you're looking for selling opportunities, that's probably the best time to go for that. Let's go on to NASDAQ. As y'all can see, it's just a quick scan for me. It doesn't take that long. I already did this pre-scan before the video recording. Get NASDAQ. This is, I was showing my orders. So yeah, there was NASDAQ right here. And this was an order from last week. You guys can actually see my live orders. NASDAQ was bearish. I got into a little bit of a nice little sell-off end of last week. But yeah, I was in my last video, I did project that we were hesitant. Those were no longer in control. You can see buyers attempted to break it on up right here, right around the 20th of May. If y'all want to understand how I can pinpoint these entries like this, I recommend contacting me in the description box down below. I have my contacts, but there's ways that I can spot these patterns out and know exactly when I enter and exactly when to exit. And this would have been an entry on the 20th of May. And you can see NASDAQ did go up about 1 hour in favor before coming back down to that entry. And it's just been hesitant ever since. That's when I boxed off, isolated the range, waited for the break of that range for potential sell-off. And price just kept on dipping down. And this is the first pullback ever since that breakout of that range. Currently, the NASDAQ is experiencing a little bit of a deeper pullback than I like. So right now I'm staying out of NASDAQ. But if we can drop down below last week's lows, once again, they're all pretty much doing something similar. There may be a possible sell-off, and we may see a further decline in NASDAQ. Long term, we are still bullish because if you look to the left, we're on a very strong bullish rally. So a correction like this is not uncommon. And yeah, just would recommend just waiting for further confirmation. We're a little early in the week, and we do have PPIs coming out, which could set the sentiment off. I'm gonna take a look at crude oil. Looks like we might have that trigger. And yes, we have that trigger coming in right now. So we're going down. And what I like to see is because this was a little hesitant, I call this a little pump fake. I like to see this 5-minute bar close off. So I give it another 2 minutes. And then I'm going to wait for an additional confirmation trigger. So I'll wait for like another sell, uh, just for confirmation, because this is just a little hesitant. Call this a little bit of a chop. So that bearish trigger, it kind of did fail. And then we have this little box of isolation of this range. So I do need to see price continue on down south, unfortunately. I'm very strict with this just because showdown right here. So we are kind of in a little bit of a tight range right now. And I do need to see price break further down. That's just me. So it breaks down lower past 76-ish. It's just an estimate. And we can stay below there. Then I'm going to look for a sell-off, and that would be good. So we're going to just continue to monitor that. But in the meantime, and also if this does not, so we can see the sellers are attempting to come on down a little bit further now. If this does not stay below these range lows, just a tight congestion right now, then more than likely I'm just gonna discard this trade and just walk away, not take anything. So gonna keep waiting and watching. Just a little bit of a hesitation. So you can see, there we go, the 5-minute in real time. Still struggling to break lower. So just watching this, kind of seeing why it's doing this. And my best bet is just to look at the price. So we have an attempt to break lower right here. Still need to see price going further down. Still a little too early to look for a sell-off. So yeah, it's just a question. But we'll be back later. Let's go on to platinum. All right, platinum. Let's look at the daily on platinum. There's a lot of trades on platinum. Yeah, so platinum, once again, there's a reversal. Buyers are coming in. You can see kind of how the pattern is like repeating in different types of contexts on different pairs and different markets. Once you're efficient enough in price action, kind of see the same thing all the time, and it tells you whether to stay out or whether to engage. And this, I stood out, so I didn't buy NAS platinum on the 17th of May, but we could see that there was an attempt to break higher. Price knocked out those swing lows, and sellers were then in control. They didn't take it that far before getting rejected, and we see that buyers and sellers are currently struggling. So at the moment, I'm not interested in buys nor sells. We are in a tight range, and it's just indecision right now. I would need to see 1023.1 taken out, and either some more selling activity. Therefore, we're going to be going into a short-term bear market for platinum, or we could continue on up, knock out the current highs, and move further to the north side. See that platinum is in a longer term range. Hasn't really gone anywhere in months. So this is the highest it's been all year. So it's attempting to break out to new yearly highs, but it's not looking so good. So more than likely, we will be revisiting 1020 and going lower, but anything is possible. As of right now, I'm not interested in platinum at the moment long term. I could look for shorter term trades, which is the benefit of day trading. you could definitely look for some sells. I mean, right now it's definitely dropping. So getting into a sell earlier would have been ideal. And yeah, that's about it. Gold, I'm actually not gold, crude oil, I'm actually interested in the sell. So I'm just going to keep looking. We got a couple minutes left. If we can break below this minute lows, then I'm going to look for some sells because it's giving me a lot of indication that we are more than likely going to continue on down. So just bear with me for a moment. Hopefully we can get into something before the video is over. And finally, Dow. So take a look at Dow. This is the last pair I'm going to break down. And then we're going to be going into the minis. Same thing with Dow. Price attempted to break, retest yearly highs. It failed. Sellers came in. Now we have a current correction. Short-term bear market, but doesn't look so great for the sellers. Looks like buyers are attempting to break higher. If they do, then we're going to breach the higher end of this bear rally to the downside. And more than likely, we're going to be reversing back north, or we're going to be moving sideways. But I wouldn't be looking for any type of sell-offs at the moment until 38.029 is ticking out. So we're going to mark off those lows, and now we're in a short-term range for gold or per Dow. So a lot of the pairs are congesting. And in this type of market condition, I don't want to trade it. It's the beginning of the month, so be prepared for a lot of announcements, a lot of high impacts that should be able to set off a catalyst so these pairs can get on out of these tight ranges. But as of right now, I am sitting in cash for most pairs. That's about it. I have my favorites marked off. I don't really look at the rest. I will show y'all a couple FX pairs. I was looking at the British pound, for example. So let's take a look at the British pound. The last thing I'll look at before I wrap it up. So British pound, buyers have been struggling, very weak buying activity up here. And recently we did have a sell-off, very similar to the S&Ps, the Dows, same thing. Bears are currently, they're not in control yet, but they have sent a shockwave to the buyers. And I would not be looking for longs yet until we have these highs taken on out right here at around 1.2804. Looking for those highs to be taken out. And if they are taken out, there's a possibility of a northbound breakout. But at the moment, I don't know. We're just kind of drifting to the side. I don't like trading in grindy movement. And that's exactly what it's doing. So I need to see more clear movement. We're going to take a look at the news shortly. But if we do take those out, we will be more than likely going for yearly highs at 1.3. 1.2899. You got to see that right here. So I'm gonna mark that off. And if we do take out these swing lows right here, more than likely, we're going to be retesting, coming down to these magnet levels and further down below, possibly reaching 1.2446. So that's something to look out for on the British pound. But as of right now, I'm not interested in any swings yet. We have a week full of news, so be prepared. Not too sure what's going to happen, but let's take a look at the, see, there we go. So it's a couple of false triggers happening right now on crude oil, and this is kind of voiding my trade setup. So I'm not interested in any trades on crude oil right now because the past 10 minutes, we have multiple signals of no selling. And now we are currently in another longer term range. So if you're chasing sells, you might be tied up for a little while. I'm going to be waiting for the lows of 76.92 to be taken out and possible, pullback continuation before selling off into crude oil. I'm still bearish for this, but unfortunately, we cannot get into it during this video recording. I don't want to have this recorded for 20, 30 minutes looking for something that's not there. And my time limit for my day trading during this session is I'm reaching the limit. So possibly no trading at all for crude oil today. But I'm just letting y'all know if we do break these range lows, y'all can take a look at it later. I believe it's about 12 o'clock a.m. June the 3rd, New York time. So you can look back at this video and see if this did play out. But like I said, I'm not interested in any selling right now until these range lows are taken out. And there's a possibility of a reversal, but we may not see that until I show y'all right now. These ranges are dynamic, by the way, so you can see how I just move it to the most recent swing highs. So yeah, no reversal until about 77.3. Right around this area, that's probably when I'll be looking for longs. We are in a strong sell-off right now for crude oil on the day trading wise. For those of you guys getting in, guys and ladies getting in to any type of crude oil, this is my highlight of the day right now. There's a possibility of a strong sell-off, and y'all can see the risk to reward is really great. It's about 4R. If we could take out these magnet levels of earlier today, a very strong possibility. Maybe if I see this setup before I leave to the gym, I may get into a sell, but right now I'm not interested in shorting it. So just to let y'all know, no selling it until those lows are taken out with the confirmation of a drop. Other than that, I'm in cash until further notice. We're going to wait for the news. I'm going to show y'all this right now on the economic events. So nothing. There's an ECB speech that normally signals manipulation coming into the session to open up London. So no trading for London open for me. It's Australia bank holiday. Yeah, see that right there. But there's a lot of PMIs coming out. That should set off a catalyst. But no trading. I don't trade when there's multiple back-to-back high impact news every 15, 30 minutes. I don't like that. It means a lot of manipulation. And US session, we may actually have some trading. We have a PMI at 9:30 a.m. Canadian manufacturing, and then 9:45. So there may be trading up until 9:45. So the first hour and a half of the New York Open today may be possibility of trading, but we'll see. We may just get more chopped like we're getting right now. Tomorrow, let's see, week ahead, Fed speech, German Open. Other than that, we have Swiss CPI. And yeah, looks like a possible trading session, London session tomorrow. US session and jolts job openings. That's a super high impact news. That might set off a lot of US pairs and just the markets to start moving by Tuesday. This is Tuesday, right? 4th, yep. Going into the 5th, we have a clean day. Australia GDP. Look out for that if you're trading Australian pairs. Looks like some Euro pairs might be moving. UK, yeah, there's a lot. Bank of Canada, interest rates, a lot of high impacts this week. Crude oil inventories, a lot of high impacts. Then we got Thursday, the 6th. So midweek reversal. This is like kind of Wednesday, Thursday overlap. Yeah, looks like some solid trading on that day. Interest rate for ECB. There we go. That's why we're having a little tight congestion. We may not get those type of breakouts until Wednesday or Thursday. I'm glad I'm able to actually show y'all how the fundamentals tie in with the technicals and how I make my decision based off of technicals, but I also use the fundamentals as kind of like an indicator. So I can confirm whether or not what I'm reading is valid. And like I said, I'm in cash until these announcements come out and set off a catalyst. So those of you that know how to tie in fundamentals with technicals, those of you that are my private coaching students or my live trading clients, y'all can see how everything ties in and how I make my decision and I'm not hesitant. I'm not impulsive to pull the trigger and how I'm actually waiting for these to happen. And then here we go. On Friday the 7th, we have some ECB speech, no trading on London session for me. And we also have a speech right here. So no trading during the Asian session for me either. US non-farm is coming out Friday. So more than likely I'm trading Friday after Friday night for me, Friday morning New York session for those of you on the the western side of the world. But yeah, that's the week in a nutshell. So hopefully y'all understand how the technicals and the fundamentals line up. I don't skip fundamentals. Those of you that think that I just trade purely technicals, I don't. I also trade fundamentals. It's just I use that as a crutch. Looking like crude oil, looking at the 5-minute update, you can see we are starting to drop on down, which is good. I just don't like this yet. So I need to see this range taken out. Like I said, it's a tight range, but more than likely this will trigger before I leave. And I'll be taking it short. If not, I'm probably not going to trade for the day. So yeah, this is my quick short trading session for the day. I only trade one session a day. This is now some time for me to, while we're watching this move in real time, I'm just going to talk real quick, break down a couple things, any type of advice or tips I like to give y'all coming into this week. Apologies for that. You got to create your own trading system so you're not impulsively trading and pulling triggers into the market when you're not supposed to. There's going to be a lot of times where you might be influenced into trading because you don't want to miss out on an opportunity. It's also called FOMO. You should not be trading during times that you don't know for certain you're set up, which is why I teach people price action, context, pattern, trigger, that all has to align before a trade is taken. If the trigger is off, but you have your contacts and your pattern, you have to follow through and respect your trigger. A trigger is an event that happens leading into your trade, called a trigger event. The context is what I read just now. You can look right here to the left and you can see the context is red. Price was moving on up. It broke highs, it rejected, broke swing lows. Now we are moving towards the downside. That's context. That's rule number one, is understanding and identifying the context so you know that you're on the right side of the market. The pattern is the strategy you trade. Pick 1, 2 at most strategies that you're familiar with and trade those jumps until you, I wouldn't want to say master it, but pretty much until you feel like a master at that strategy. You should trade it and find out all of its flaws and all of its strengths and weaknesses. Understand that pattern before you move on to another pattern. So for example, this is a reversal pattern, but also a trend continuation pattern. So it's a combination of 2 patterns that I studied for the past couple of years, and it's working out. The pattern is valid, but the trigger event is what's getting me into the trade, because I can't trade this pattern all alone because the stop loss is going to be too big for my trade. So I don't like holding through pullbacks. So if I trade the pattern alone, I'm risking a lot more just to see if this works out. And that means I have to wait a lot longer to see if it doesn't work or if it works. So for example, this pattern started at 11 o'clock. You can see the drop. You can see the bear trend start to form after that bull rally kind of got weaker. I just read context to you. The pattern is the drop. I could trade the drop alone, but my stop loss has to be above 11 o'clock highs. You can see how I'm very efficient in reading that, and I understand everything going on, and I sound very valid. I'm not guessing. It's just in my brain. That's intuitive. Intuition is a gift that you gain after practicing hundreds of trades during your off hours. During live trading, like I'm doing now, there's no time to practice. Know your pattern, and then get into your trigger event. Trigger event is what's making me decide on taking the trade or not. I don't want to take the sell because it's invalid. So I have to wait for this break of this range. If the range breaks that I just drew, followed by a pullback, and then a new trigger, I can get in. That is my trigger event. Sometimes the trigger event fails, which is what is happening now. The sellers have failed a couple times and it's indecision. But as it's dropping, it's giving me confirmation. And I'm reading this in real time. It's giving me confirmation that the sellers are still present and the buyers were too weak to hold that counter trend up. So the corrective wave is weak. The impulsive wave is regaining strength. Now my trigger is a part of the trigger event. I have to wait for a pullback and then a drop. That stuff takes time to master or become efficient in. And that's why trading is such a long journey. Because if you don't have all three aligned, you're always going to be bending over to the whim of the market and taking random trades, thinking that you're doing something great. In reality, you have no clue what's happening because you can't read price action. Price can be read, and I just did it in this video. So those of you that are interested or curious as to what I do or how I do it, I literally just broke it down in a nutshell for y'all. And it's as simple as that. I make it seem very simple. It sounds very simple, but it takes a long time to do this by yourself. And that's why I recommend a coach. I coach. Obviously, I'm not trying to sell things to y'all, but y'all need my help. Hit me up because there's only one way to really understand this fully, and that is having guidance. So you can keep guessing, but that's not how the journey is supposed to go. So just keep on watching. This crude oil may or may not break down. And if it doesn't, I have my reasons to stay out. Emotions are under control. I also teach about emotional control, psychological management. That is a big role in trading. And you have to have a strong psyche in order to do this for a living. Can't do this full time, can't even do this part time if your psychology is not on point. We're now getting that breakdown. I like this. I'm interested in sell off. Maybe by 12:30, because right now it's 12:20, we might get a trigger. And my emotions are in control because even though I want to get into a sell now, I have to wait for my setup to be present. That trigger event needs to be present. I'm reading price. This is how you read price from a non-emotional standpoint. Doesn't mean I don't have emotions, but I was able to suppress my emotions and put them in places where they can be beneficial. The fear and anxiety of in part of me is in action right now. I boxed off the range because that uncertainty is fear. I don't know what's going to happen. We all don't know, and I'm being honest and transparent with myself. So that fear, it's boxed off and isolated. I'm able to turn that weakness into a strength. Now, the trader part of me, which is the impulsive part of me, wants to take a trade, and I should be in this trade already. But what would happen if price starts to move back on up? Well, that impulsive side of me means that I got into early. And so during my off hours, I practice on going back and reading my notes, checking my screenshots, and even looking at different markets and market conditions and different time frames, and just trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't. So then I'm able to see, hey, if I'm impulsive this many times on these type of setups, my P&L will be way lower. But because I'm more controlled, I avoid a lot of false triggers, a lot of false moves. The market likes to be tricky like that. And so the trader part of me is only able to act when all of it aligns. That is called discipline. So the fear is eliminated once this range low is taken out and a pullback is confirmed. The trader part, which is the impulsive part of me, is going to now wait for that. And I have to pull the trigger regardless. If all aligns, the fear is now gone because I have conviction. Conviction is the final part. I am fully convinced of my setup if all of that aligns. But if it doesn't, I see this hundreds of times already, thousands of times. It may just go sideways and we may not see anything for the rest of the day. It may reverse and I may save myself 1 hour. So you see how all of this aligns? You kind of see how price is struggling to break those lows in real time. I marked those off several minutes ago and it's still bouncing around. So without making this video go on too long, I have to wait. If there's no move by 12:30, I might just call it a day because that's it for me. I have to go to the gym and enjoy the rest of my day. So having a daily limit, about 30 minutes to 2 hours a day, depending on what I'm trading, that's my maximum limit. After that, it's just telling me that the day is dry or I'm taking the profits that I took or I'm taking the losses that I took for the day. And I also have trade limits. So I take 2 losses in a row or 2 losses at all during my trading session, I'm done. Even if I had a winning session, 2 losses is 2 losses. It limits my average daily loss. It could be performance-based error, but we do have, bad days. Like Friday was a bad day for me. You can see on my P&L at the top, you can see the history right there. I had a couple half losses, 0.5 R losses. And then I followed by a winner, which made my daily balance break even, followed by a loser, which was technically my second full loss. So I stopped trading for the day. My P&L was right there. I looked back at the history. It was chopped for the rest of the day. If I kept trading in that environment, I would have encountered a lot of false choppy moves and my balance would be way lower. So this is all psychological, but you can see how trading is a journey. You have to combine technicals with fundamentals, with psychology to all make it align, to be able to have this trader mindset, to be able to do this for a living. So I hope this makes sense. Today may be a day I'm sitting in cash. Unfortunately, it's still hesitant. You can see it's not going anywhere. And in that case, you might just call it a day. Here we go. Very big 5-minute candle right here. And it's moving on up again. So if I took that sell, it would have been too early, not being drawn on right now. So you can see how I can read price. Reading price is step 1. So you have to control your emotions, learn how to read price, and then learn how to combine steps 1 and 2, control your emotions and reading price, to be able to develop a system in which you can have a market edge. Everything has to align. Am I trading now? No. Y'all can see price is now moving on up. So this is all real-time data, real-time information right in front of you. For those of you that wanted to watch the end of this video, congratulations, you're able to see real-time price action. It's a thing to be read. We don't know the future, but we know the present and we can read the past. You combine the two, you have a higher probability of predicting the future. But it comes with experience. Sitting on my hands right now was not easy, but it's simple and it can be done and it can prevent multiple losses. I would have took 3 losses in this hour had I been too impulsive and didn't isolate my ranges. It wasn't able to read false triggers. But I managed to have 0 losses because I was able to sit on the bench and preserve my capital. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to call it a day. I don't need to trade London session. I don't need to trade US session. 1 session a day. If it's choppy during 1 session, more than likely it's going to be choppy for the rest of the sessions. Historically, I've done my research and my back testing to validate this, and you have to do your own. But hopefully you have similar results and you're able to come up with similar conclusions. But that's it for my trading day. I don't want to trade this. And so I'm going to call it a day. Maybe if we break this range low, which is highly unlikely now, but it's still possible, I might look for a sell-off because we are still predominantly bearish, but maybe not for long. So I'm going to continue reading price action in real time. Like I said, it's 12:28, but we'll see after the video. And if I get into a trade, I'll post it on my Twitter. My Twitter's, the link is going to be below in the description, so right below this video. And yeah, just enjoy y'all day, enjoy y'all week. There's a lot of high impacts coming up, so preserve your capital at the beginning so you can be able to have it to capitalize on the bigger moves later and have a abundantly prosperous week, y'all. Peace.